guys, it's Syama here, CEO of Scaling Retail, and we are here today inside Showfields. Now, Showfields is one of the newest co-retailing spaces to hit the market over here on Bond Street in New York City. And what's so exciting about the introduction of this space is it's totally experiential. And so today, to kind of walk through the space, we'll be looking to see how they merge interaction, experiential, product, and ultimately telling a brand story. So let's head on over. Oh, this is really cool. So it looks like inside here, there's an interactive space here in order to do, let's stay in touch and kind of getting space on your email and acquisition like that. Now, what I think is so fascinating here is we've seen a very similar model of using in-store touch displays in companies like Reformation as well as the RealReal, which ends up being a great way to convert. So I think this is really awesome. As we think about bringing experiential into this product space, you'll notice here that this is, a holistic kind of nutrition-based product line. And what's fascinating is when you're in a space like this, not only are you kind of getting this Instagram, friendly capturing, right? So you get this kind of great interaction. You also get a lot of great explanations here about the product. So this, I think, is such a great example of, what it means to take a product and truly bring it to life. Oftentimes we think about, selling a product or telling a story, and it can be difficult to tell a story when you just have a website, right? How do you actually bring that messaging to life? Jem, I think you've done an amazing job here on articulating women's health, nutrition, and experiential into a way that feels comfortable. So what's really cool about this, again, is we have another great experiential environment. You'll notice that each room is really separately branded. So this room is very different than what we saw with Gem Nutrition. But again, we're seeing, skincare, nutrition, lifestyle-based brands that are really bringing vision to life. This is a little bit of a less of an intense production as the other space that we saw, but we're still seeing the same kind of integrations between color, bringing in some nature, trying to pull in a little bit of that digital touch point, and then certainly something here that is all Instagram worthy, right? So this is our Instagram bait, and it looks like they have a wall here kind of highlighting some of the people who come to visit the store and visit their brand. So I like this as well. It is a little dark, so I'm gonna say maybe there should be more lights. This merchandising is, again, we're kind of looking at a storefront that is stocked piled with stuff. So I think as far as creating a space, this feels to me a little bit more dense, right? There's a lot of stuff happening in a small amount of space. I'm certainly not tall enough to reach, but I am pretty tall. So I think there might be a little bit of opportunity here to bring the products down to kind of the customer's experience. But again, an opportunity to showcase product assortment. I do wish there was a little bit more interactivity. I wish there was a little bit more story that told me about the brand. But I love my dog, so I like this too. Now this is my kind of room. It is bright, it's airy, we have the digital touch points, we have some stories that are coming up here to really understand the brand. Pictures of dogs, they're selling dog food, and it's really nice and bright. So oftentimes, again, I think when we're looking at how we get a customer to convert, right? 50% off your first order, a really easy kind of way to convert here. And then also kind of an opportunity to highlight product information, the use of foliage and props in order to kind of bring the story to life of fresh dog food, right? Again, close to my heart. It's so interesting because Chanel has had such an interesting history recently with suing companies like the RealReal because they have they're concerned about counterfeiting and kind of their distribution. And so it's interesting to see a brand, how brands like that will kind of navigate this resale space. This is also interesting, actually. So Klarna is, so there are two different kinds of companies out there right now that are doing Afterpay really interestingly. So Klarna is one, and then also you have Afterpay. And what's fascinating is that when you integrate them onto your website, you give consumers an opportunity to pay on installment plans, almost like you buy it now and pay it off later, but the interest rates are somewhat better for doing these afterpay kinds of services. So what's interesting here is to see Man Repeller, which recently came out the last few years with their own kind of direct-to-consumer products, do a collaboration with like a credit card payment company, right? Or it's almost like a layaway, it's almost like a credit card. And so what's fascinating is it would be as if it's like the modern day version of like an old school collab between a brand and like MasterCard, right? But it's like Klarna or Afterpay. All right, guys, we've just spent the last little bit of time walking through Showfields. It's been really exciting to be able to see how brands are being experienced and interpreted into new retail environments. And what's so fascinating here is as we actually went from the first all the way up to the third floor, we actually found new and innovative ways in which we were able to experience and actually understand these brands. Now, what made Showfields so exceptional? Well, number one, on the first floor, a lot of brands had their own little tiny enclaves, their own ways of experiencing and merchandising their brands. The best brands out there that did that made sure to kind of add some educational element as to who they were, why their brand was special, and to be able to actually merchandise and use props in a way to be able to articulate and tell their story. Now, the brands that did not do such a good job at this were the ones that did not spend the time and energy in terms of investing into props or did not have the right merchandising strategy, right? Certainly if product is all the way up here and I can't reach it, how the hell am I going to be able to touch it and feel it and truly experience it the way that it was intended? Now, as we kind of moved up towards the experience, we start on the first floor, you take the elevator all the way up to the third and you start coming back down to the second. What we actually found was a really fun and engaging staff at Showfields, meaning everyone on that selling floor was not only well educated, but they're also actors, which I heard about, which I thought was really fascinating. They have a way of putting on a persona and identity, educating and selling products in a way that did not feel too salesy. It didn't feel like we were kind of pushing up against someone who was going to try to sell us a product and then add some more products into our cart and make sure that we check out in 30 minutes. In fact, we found the experience to be extremely relaxing. Everyone was super friendly, really nice, and also, again, very educated on the brands that they were selling. Now, the only thing that happened at Showfields that I thought was kind of the antithesis, right, of being a co-retailing or a shopping environment was it wasn't quite obvious to me at the time how to buy something, right? I found myself being so enthralled by the entire user experience, learning about brands, having a great time meeting the sales associates and being walked through these beautiful rooms, but it wasn't always clear to me until the end where I saw this little space where you can actually buy products that are available for sale. So I think in my mind it would have been great to be able to kind of understand how to add and shop things a little bit more fluidly throughout the experience. However, guys, Showfields remains the only co-retailing space that truly dedicates and gives time and space to individual brands. Now, the other co-retailing spaces tend to look a little bit more like boutiques, meaning they tend to have a lot of different brands that are stacked up on a rack, and then you kind of walk through and pick through it as if you're in a regular boutique. This is truly a unique experience. Now, if you're asking yourself, is this a good opportunity for me or not? I can tell you, number one, the brands that we're showcasing here were wide and varied. Everything from dog food for my dog, who I love, to things like toilet paper, toothbrushes, as well as buying vintage, high-end Gucci, Louis Vuitton, etc. You're actually able to kind of appeal to a wide variety of consumers, which I thought to be quite fascinating. Again, a little bit different than kind of that traditional boutique experience where you're just curating maybe all ready to wear, all accessories. It's truly kind of moved around a 360 of education, experiential, of lifestyle brands. So that I thought was very unique and interesting. Now, the other thing that's really fascinating here is kind of the bells and whistles that come with the experience. We were able to walk through a secret bookshelf and find a secret passageway in order to get down to the second floor. And that really manifested itself into something that was fun and unique. So guys, in this space, and when it comes to co-retailing, as a small brand or even a growth stage brand, you have to be asking yourself, what are the different touch points? What are the different ways in which I want my brand to be experienced by the consumer? How much education, how much do I want them to walk away with truly understanding who I am? And as you look at co-retailing, which is essentially spending money to rent space in another location, right? So all these brands that we were experiencing were not actually bought outright by Showfields and like an open to buy. These brands are renting space. And you have to ask yourself, well, what is the data? What are the analytics? What's the information and exposure that I'm getting from that? And that becomes a very critical decision that is very much dependent on your external strategy. What is your distribution model? What's your marketing strategy? How are you amplifying your brand and your messaging? That's exactly where a company like Scaling Retail comes into play. Over here at Scaling Retail, we work with lots of different brands in terms of determining the right operations model, the right marketing strategy, and ultimately how to grow and build a business to have the right consumer-facing brand identity and experiential models. So for us, it's always a lot of fun to walk into stores like this because we can then bring it back to you and to our clients how we think you should workshop an opportunity like this into the future of your distribution model. So guys, if you have questions, you want to know more about how to fit this into your business, send me an email at hello@scalingretail.com. Would love to sit down and brainstorm with you about scale and growth for your lifestyle business. All right guys, talk to you soon. Bye.